Howdy y'all, Kaloth here, and Conquest Volume 11 is fast approaching. Conquest will launch on July the 10th. This will be the first Conquest that you'll be able to earn Terran Malicos shards. And as promised in previous videos this week, we've got Feats and data cards, so I wanted to take a look at those, talk about some strategies, and just in general how I approach Conquest. And then we'll talk about some specific teams. So without further ado, let's go. Here is the data mined list of feats. Now this is from the Galaxy of Heroes events Discord. Credit to SWGOH for putting these together every conquest. If just in general you're looking for any information on Galaxy of Heroes, SWGOH and the events Discord in general is your place to go. So thank you SWGOH for putting this out. Let me get rid of my ugly mug and we'll just look at the feats here. So actually going to start down here in the lower right with the global feats. Global feats looking pretty reasonable this time. Number 1, we've got defeat at least 250 enemies on the golden challenge path. If you are anything like me, you follow that golden challenge path pretty much the whole time anyway, so this will be a freebie. And this is kind of taking the place of previous conquests have had, you know, defeat 500 characters or 250 characters. I believe it's usually 500, so this is actually lower, which is nice. Next, we've got win 40 battles with Darth Malgus surviving. Not bad there, so long as you have Malgus. 40 battles with a full squad of clones. Notably, this means you're not going to be able to use gas. So if you have Bad Batch is undoubtedly going to be the best team for this. Otherwise, there are a few options out there, right? Next is 20 battles with Captain Rex, Chopper, Ezra Bridger, Harrison Dula, and Kanan Jarrus, all surviving. So this is a pretty rough feat, right? This is a new marquee. This is the Phoenix squad with a very particular lineup, including that new marquee Captain Rex, and importantly, all of them have to survive. So that'll be one that I think people are going to struggle with a little bit. We have returning defeat 100 enemies with Cal Kestis and Seer Junda. Added to this is Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. So if you've gotten your Jedi Knight Cal, you'll be able to use him for this feat. And once you've defeated 100 enemies, you get 1 key card, and you get Over Prepared 1. Now this is not a data card. This is a consumable that you can use for X number of battles. And then the next feat that unlocks, of course, is if you complete a battle with Over Prepared 1 active, you get 15 key cards. So overall, this whole thing is worth 16 key cards. Kind of similar is the last global feat group. 20 battles with a full squad of Wookiees need to be won for the deployable cooling systems consumable. That gives 1 key card. And then 15 key cards for completing a battle with deployable cooling systems active. That gives you 15. Something to note here, both Over Prepared 1 and deployable cooling systems are going to be available from the Conquest Pass, the paid Conquest Pass. I don't know how you feel about that. Maybe you're a spender and you pick that up every time. Maybe you're on the fence, or maybe you're against spending. If you are somebody who spends a little, if you're a light spender, this is probably a pretty good bang for your buck. You get the convenience of being able to swap cards. Now, we can argue about whether or not they should have designed something to pay for convenience at a different time, but you do get that convenience, and you do get basically 30 key cards right off the bat. Now, you won't get the 1 key card for winning 20 battles with a full squad of Wookiees, or defeating 100 enemies with Cal, Seer, or Jedi Cal. But other than that, it's, you know, 30 key cards right away when you buy that pass. So make the determination for yourself on whether or not that's valuable to you. Sector 1, we've got defeat 50 enemies with droids, win 14 battles with no tanks in your squad, gain defense up 40 times, attempt to inflict ability block 60 times, The mini boss is win with Kylo Ren Unmasked surviving, win without any Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users in your squad. And the boss is win without any Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users again. And then finally win with Ben Solo surviving for a total of 30 key cards in Sector 1. Sector 2, we've got defeat 60 enemies with Rebel fighters, win 14 battles with no attackers in your squad, attempt to inflict Purge 300 times, gain Foresight 60 times. Mini-boss is win with Tarful surviving, and win without any Force users, again, Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users. Boss is win with Saw Gerrera surviving, and win with only dark side characters. That's a new one. So we've seen win without any Force users, right? The win without Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users in your squad. We've also seen win without a GL. I don't remember ever seeing win with only dark side or win with only light side, but that's kind of cool. Sector 3, gain We Have Returned 60 times. That is the unique buff that the Sith Empire gets, courtesy of Darth Malgus. Defeat 50 enemies with Geonosians. Win at least 14 battles with a full squad of Galactic Republic. Attempt to inflict Stagger 60 times. Mini-bosses win with 5 surviving and win without using a Galactic Legend. Boss is win without using a Galactic Legend and win with 5 victors. And I believe what that is, we've seen it before where you have the characters from, at least when we saw it before, it was characters from Knights of the Old Republic. And it forced your squad to kind of do a one-on-one. So you would have one character active and you would fight one member of the opposing team. And then once that fight was finished, it would move on to your next character, and you would have to 1v1 again, and it would go, 5 times 1v1. It sounds like this is basically win without dying, right? Win without losing a fight. Sector 4, win 14 battles with a full squad of Inquisitors. Attempt to inflict evasion down 40 times. Attempt to inflict armor shred 20 times. What I like here is it is attempt to inflict armor shred 20 times. I don't know if I've ever noticed that wording before. We'll have to try that when Conquest is live, but attempt to inflict evasion down, attempt to inflict armor shred instead of having to inflict it would be nice. Defeat 50 enemies with Imperial Troopers. Mini-bosses win with Starkiller surviving and win without any Force users. Boss is win with Admiral Trench surviving and win with only light side characters. Finally, Sector 5 is defeat 50 enemies with Phoenix characters, win at least 20 battles without losing any units, attempt to inflict blind 60 times, gain Foresight 60 times. The mini-bosses win with 5 Sith Empire, and then also win without it using any Force users, Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users. Boss is win without any Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users. And finally, win with Jedi Knight Cal Kestis surviving. So, in a nutshell, those are our feats. Now, how do you approach Conquest? What do you need to know for this? So what I like to do is I will first make an overview, right? And I will make 3 sections here. First section is what teams do I need for this Conquest? Teams that are explicitly needed for different feats are clones. Phoenix with that specific lineup we mentioned. Hera, Ezra, Kanan, Chopper, and Captain Rex. Wookiees, droids, rebel fighters, Geonosians, Galactic Republics, and that overlaps with clones, right? So we've got Galactic Republic needed. Pardon me, I'm tripping over myself. But we also have clones needed. You can kind of 2 birds with 1 stone in a few places here by just using clones right off the bat. Inquisitorius, which is also an overlap with unaligned Force user. We don't have that this time, but we did last Conquest. Imperial Troopers, and finally Sith Empire. Notable characters that you explicitly need are Darth Malgus, either Cal Kestis, Seer Junda, and/or Jedi Knight Cal. For another feat, you explicitly need Jedi Knight Cal Kestis specifically. You need Kylo Ren Unmasked, Ben Solo, Saw Gerrera, Tarful, Fives, Starkiller, and Admiral Trench. And then this is the one that most team building kind of revolves around. Abilities and effects that are needed for feats. So, for instance, one of the earliest feats, I think it's in Sector 1, is to gain defense up, what was that? It was gain defense up 40 times. Well, when I take a look, I will go to SWGOH.gg, or I'll look through my roster and I'll see, okay, who can inflict this debuff, or who can apply this buff. In this case, defense up. And I'm looking for who can do more than just apply it once, right? We're looking for AoE applications or repeatable applications of the same effect. In this case, we've got a lot of them. Jedi Master Luke applies defense up with his leadership. Barriss Offee has an AoE defense up. Plo Koon has an AoE defense up. He's so important, I have him on this list twice. Cal Kestis, AoE defense up. Seer Junda has defense up from her lead. Rose Tico has an AoE defense up for resistance. By the way, both Cal and Seer, their defense up, I believe, is limited to unaligned force users. Wrecker has an AoE defense up for clone troopers. So, when I look at those are some of the best at defense up, because they're going to be able to apply it, again, either AoE like Barriss Offee and Plo Koon, who have that AoE ability, or in a kind of repeatable way like Jedi Master Luke's leadership, right? So when you're looking at defense up, you're looking at teams like Jedi, you're looking at teams like unaligned force users, resistance, and clone troopers. Notably, clone troopers are needed for several places here, and of course Jedi are just really good at it. Unaligned force users, several of them are specifically needed. Resistance, they're not needed for this, but if you're somebody who has Galactic Legend Rey, you have a lot of these guys at Relic, and this is a great place to utilize them. For ability block, you've got Jedi Master Luke, Old Ben, Darth Vader, Veteran Smuggler Han Solo, and Grand Inquisitor all have reliable ways to apply ability block, again, either AoE or in a kind of a repeatable way. So once again, you have Jedi as a valuable faction for this. You have Sith specifically for Darth Vader. Vader's ability block is interesting because it's on his basic, but with Merciless Massacre, you're going to be able to basic every single enemy team, so it's almost an AoE, right? Veteran Smuggler Han has an AoE, so, Resistance or Scoundrels, and then finally Grand Inquisitor. Purge, there's a feat that requires you to inflict Purge a number of times. Of course, that is proprietary to Inquisitors. Foresight, once again, we have Jedi. If anybody has ever told you Jedi Master Luke is the MVP of Conquest, this is why. We have two different sectors, I believe it's Sector 2 and Sector 5, have Foresight feats. Grandmaster Yoda has AoE Foresight. Hermit Yoda has AoE Foresight. Importantly, Grandmaster Yoda also has his final special, which is an AoE ability spread, where he copies all buffs that can be copied that are on him. He copies to the rest of the team. So if you use Hermit Yoda to apply Foresight to everybody, and then use Grandmaster Yoda's special, he is going to reapply Foresight to the entire team. So, between those two turns of those two, and you're going to be able to apply Foresight 15 times. So Jedi are just very, very good at that kind of thing. And then, of course, Jedi Master Kenobi. One of his specials is an AoE Foresight to all light side allies. So, awesome stuff there. We have returned. Again, that's an effect that is proprietary to the Sith Empire that comes from Darth Malgus. This is a conquest where if you do not have Darth Malgus, you're going to be missing out on a lot of feats. You're probably not going to be within range of a red box. Malgus is needed pretty extensively here. Stagger. Stagger's a hard one. There's a lot of characters, and by the way, this is just true of all of these abilities. This is not an exhaustive list of everybody who can apply these effects, right? These are just the ones that I think are the most reliable, or who can apply things in an AoE fashion. And the best faction for this is really Empire. Colonel Stark has an AoE stagger. Director Krennic has kind of a crappy AoE stagger, but he's got an AoE stagger. I believe it's a 70% chance to apply stagger. And then Mara Jade is the big one. Mara Jade has that AoE stagger, and she's so fast. She's going to be going so many times that what I would do here and what I've put together on my accounts is a team led by Emperor Palpatine with Mara Jade, and then with Colonel Stark, Director Krennic, and a tank. So stagger is, going to be best if you have Empire. Evasion down is another one that's kind of hard. This is really good for bounty hunters, Sith, or unaligned Force users. Zam is really the only character that has a good, reliable AoE evasion down. Bastila Shan has one that happens when fear expires. And then Cal Kestis does have one as well. One thing you'll notice here when you go through these again, Cal Kestis and Seer Junda come up on most of these, right? CG is very clearly designed this around those characters. If you have the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis requirements, a lot of these feats are going to be pretty straightforward for you to be able to unlock here. Armor Shred's a tough one because you don't really have AoE Armor Shreds. Galactic Republic is one great faction for this because you have Gas, Cat, and Cam, the three-letter abbreviations there. General Skywalker, Commander Tano, and Ki-Adi-Mundi. All three of them can apply Armor Shred. All three of them share the Galactic Republic tag, so throw them in under JMK, and you've got yourself a party. Ben Solo has a reliable Armor Shred. Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, if you have him, has an Armor Shred. The Armorer is one of those plug-and-play support characters that has an Armor Shred. Moff Gideon has an Armor Shred. Two characters that I think are notable here. Fennec Shand, who her Armor Shred, her special has an Armor Shred component to it. Once her contract is unlocked, that Armor Shred applies twice. So if you can put Fennec in a team where you can quickly unlock her, when you can quickly unlock the contract, right? So if you, say, put Bosk on the team, and you've got Fennec and Scion of Django, both whose basics hit multiple times. Well, Bosk's ability is just dealing damage to the weakest enemy character, and Bosk has an AoE mass assist, or he's got a mass assist that he can use. So use the mass assist against that weakest character. Scion of Django and Fennec come in, deal damage multiple times, and unless they're under something like a Foresight, you're probably going to unlock your contract almost immediately. So that's a great strategy you've got there. But again, Galactic Republic is great for it. The armor can pretty much plug into anywhere. The other call out here, and I want to credit a user by the name of Whisk on the Galaxy of Heroes event server for mentioning this to me. I'd seen this before, but I'd kind of forgotten about it until they brought it up. You can take somebody like Sabine Wren, who's a rebel, and we do have Amplify Agony and Zealous Ambition, Volatile Accelerator. We have not, pardon me, we don't have Zealous Ambition. We have Amplify Agony, Caustic Emissions, and Volatile Accelerator in this data card set. If you can find a node, a First Order node with a enemy Kylo Ren unmasked, he's going to heal every time he's getting debuffs. And if you can kind of get it to where it's just him, you can repeatedly apply that Armor Shred over and over and over again with Sabine Wren in that CLS matchup and be able to kind of cheese that. So something to watch for there. Finally, for our feats, Blind is another one. And Rebels are great at this. And Hutts are pretty good at this, right? Because you've got Jabba, and Jabba's basic does a blind. But really, Rebels are where it's at. You have 3PO and Chewie who have the AoE blind. They've always been my go-to for blind in various other conquests where it's been needed. And then Saw Gerrera. Saw is another one of those Jedi Knight Cal requirements, and he has an AoE blind on special. So if you've got both of them, throw them on a team. Otherwise, just use your CLS team. Throw some data discs to make the team durable but not deal a lot of damage. You don't want to load them up with Volatile Accelerator. Otherwise, you'll just wipe everybody out really quickly. What you want is you want to kind of keep them alive and just kind of cycle through 3PO and Chewie using that special ability to dispel enemy buffs and apply blind on the enemy team. So those are your kind of repeatable source of blind. Also, Eighth Brother, and we do have some Inquisitor feats in here too. Eighth Brother has a pretty reliable AoE blind, but it has to be against Jedi, so you have to be facing enemy Jedi. So once I've looked at Conquest, I've taken a look at the feats, and I've said, okay, this is what Conquest is going to require of me. Then I start looking at my accounts, and I say, well, what do I have that's going to work with that? I have two accounts here. I've got them both open here in BlueStacks, and I have gone through my accounts, and I have kind of set up squads, and we're just going to do these side by side so we can kind of see. Here we go. So I've got for my global feat, I have that specific Phoenix lineup. For my Sector 1 feats, I've got droids, right? And if we go back here and look at my OneNote, I kind of wrote this down. So Sortie, T3M4, BB8, R2D2, and HK47. That's going to get me defeat enemies with droids. That's going to give me win battles with no tanks, because none of those are tanks. T3M4 has an ability block, which is going to help me progress that. And then Sortie herself has a defense up. Another option for this, as I've noted here, Grievous, B1 battle droid, B2 battle droid, Droidica, and instead of Magna Guard, because Magna Guard is a tank, throw in a Jedi that has an AoE defense up, like Barriss, like Plo Koon. That's going to give you defeat enemies with droids. It's going to get you win battles with no tanks, and it's going to get you defense up. And this is kind of the strategy, right, with Conquest. You want to be looking at this and figuring out, okay, how can I progress multiple feats using one squad, right? How do I get as efficient as I can with that? We also have global feats for Darth Malgus surviving, which Darth Malgus survives pretty easily, right? I don't know why I don't have him listed. I need to add that for this account, I guess. But here in this account, you see I've got it in my Sector 1 feats. I have win battles with Darth Malgus, but then I also have Bastila Shan Fallen in here for ability block. Darth Traya has an ability block. Darth Vader has that repeatable ability block with his basic. So I'm making a Sith team that's going to give me multiple feats here, right? Survive with Darth Malgus, but then also that ability block. Obviously, I can't progress win with no tanks because Darth Malgus is a tank. But other than that, I'm kind of moving forward. Finally, we've got this Sector 1 team that I have on both of my accounts here. We've got Jedi Master Luke. I've got Old Ben. I've got Grandmaster Yoda, Plo Koon, and Cal Kestis. This is going to give me ability block. Luke has his AoE ability block on his second special, which hits hard and, again, puts ability block on everybody. Old Ben has an AoE ability block. Plo Koon has defense up. Jedi Master Luke has defense up. Grandmaster Yoda can actually use his second special to spread that defense up again once it's been applied to get everybody else with defense up. Cal Kestis, of course, we need kills with Cal Kestis. Jedi Master Luke's lead is going to give that granted ability to call a light side ally to deal damage and deal extra damage based on Luke's protection, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it in there. I'm going to use Plo Koon to spread the buffs. I'm going to use Luke and Old Ben to AoE ability block. And then I'm just going to be using that special to call Cal to deal damage as much as possible and start racking up kills with Cal. I'm telling you, Jedi Master Luke is a cheat code for Conquest. For Sector 2, Rebel Fighters, I've got, let's look here. Rebel fighters and no attackers I've got on this. So, you know, I've got, it's a suboptimal team in both accounts, right? I've got Mon Mothma, I've got Cara Dune, Cassian, K2SO, and Biggs. Can't have Wedge because Wedge is an attacker, but Biggs is support, right? I've got Bodhi Rook over here because I've got him relicked for territory battles. And so I'm putting these teams together, again, kind of subpar, and you're looking at your data cards to kind of shore yourself up. I'm putting these together in a way that I can hopefully progress multiple feats at the same time. And I'm going to adapt as Conquest goes, right? If I find that this Gear 12 Baze and this Gear 12 Cara Dune just aren't cutting it, you know, I'm going to make adjustments there. But that's kind of how I do it. You know, Sector 2, we've got Inquisitors. Sector 2, we've got Jedi with Cal. This is for Foresight, I can tell you. Hermit Yoda's got Foresight, AoE Foresight on his special, as does Grandmaster Yoda, and of course Grandmaster Yoda also spreads it. And so you're just knocking out a lot of AoE Foresight. Actually, now that I think about it, Master Yoda's special spreads buffs, but also applies Foresight itself, so I don't know if the spread really matters for the Foresight, but either way, AoE Foresight. And of course Cal Kestis for the global feat again. Sector 3, here we go, Sith Empire. It needs to be full Sith Empire because Darth Malgus' ability for to provide We Have Returned. Which one is it? It is it his lead? Here we go, his lead. Whenever doubt expires from an enemy, Sith Empire allies. So it has to be Sith Empire allies. It cannot be Sith allies. Gain a stack of We Have Returned for 4 turns. And you need to stack that up for a feat. Well, HK-47 is Sith Empire, but he is not a Sith, and Darth Malgus wants full Sith. So really you want the usual 4, plus then your 5th could either be Marauder or Sith Empire Trooper, but you want a team of full Sith. I don't have Bad Batch on either account, so, you know, here I've got the 501st with Cody. I'll probably try it with Rex lead first, but we've got a few lead options that we can try out there. Geonosians is going to be rough for me, but we'll see what the data cards can do. A lot of Inquisitors popping up again in Sector 4. I've got, you know, Imperial Troopers. Of course, on this account, we've got Jabba. And we've thrown Zam Wessel in there for the AoE evasion down, and may actually improve her gear a little bit before then. But that's my approach. That is how I approach Conquest. That's how I'm approaching this Conquest. This Conquest looks like it's going to be very easy for any established player to at least gold box. Red box is going to be tough. People are going to get stuck on things like Geonosians. They're going to get stuck on things like really Geonosians is the big one before Captain Rex. Phoenix with Captain Rex I think is going to be a big sticking point to a lot of people. Wookiees are going to be rough unless you buy the Conquest Pass to kind of skip that. And then of course the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis is just a reward if you have Jedi Knight Cal, but otherwise it's 5 data cards that you're just not going to see. So to red box, we've got all of these feats. Let's go back to it. We've got all these feats. There's a total of 334 feats, and you're going to need 300 of those, plus the 3-star on all your nodes. 300 of those data cards that come from feats to get to red box, right? So, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words again. So, long story short, you can drop 34 key cards. Assuming you 3-star every battle in Conquest, you can go through here and say, well, you know I don't have Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, so that is 5 off of the top that I know I'm not going to be able to get. So now I've got 29 that I can play with. So you can kind of pick and choose what feats you're going to skip, but if you're going for red box, you basically need to get everything outside of those 34 key cards worth of feats. Real quickly, I want to talk about the data discs. A big caveat to this is that Meathead, the community manager, told us last month that Zealous Ambition, ZA, was not going to be a data card in Conquest 10, the Fury Interceptor Conquest. That proved to not be true. I don't think we know whether or not that was a bug or just a miscommunication, but we did have Zealous Ambition, even though it was not in the post. So take all this with a grain of salt. But everybody's favorite data desk, Zealous Ambition, is not listed here, and I honestly don't expect to see it. That said, just like Conquest 10, we do have Amplify Agony back, which Amplify Agony is great, especially when paired with things like Volatile Accelerator, which is also there. Notably, we don't have Entrenched. I have to look again, but I did not see a Voluntary Vanguard. Oh no, Voluntary Vanguard is there. Alright, so we have Voluntary Vanguard. We don't have Entrenched. I don't think we have Fortified either. Doesn't look like we have Fortified. But we do have Voluntary Vanguard. We do have Amplify Agony. We do have Volatile Accelerator. Caustic Emissions. All of those kind of Conquest staples that will let you dramatically punch up are here, so that's good. You do have to be careful with Volatile Accelerator and Amplify Agony. If you're working on a feat that says get X number of kills with this team or this character, and then the dots from Volatile Accelerator are what kill the character, you're not going to get credit towards that feat. So you do have to be a little careful. But they're great if you just want to explode nodes, especially with a team like CLS. You're just going to annihilate things once you get a couple of those. Wanted to call out here. So we see 4 legendary data discs. War of Attrition, Hyper Accelerator, Dark Loyalty, and Deadly Catalyst. Those are the only 4 listed on this official post. Now, take anything in a data mine with a grain of salt, right? But here we have a data mine from earlier today of what looks to be a new data disk. The file name is artifact_weather_the_storm_cost_legendary_DESC. That is just its name in the data. But basically, it is an artifact named Weather the Storm with a cost of 4, which matches those other legendary data discs, with a quality of legendary. So this sounds to me, and this is pretty easy to assume, this looks like a data mine of a new data disk called Weather the Storm. What it does, it says all allies are immune to damage and debuffs until the start of their first turn. And if you've played hard mode Conquest a lot, you know that one of the most frustrating things that can happen is when a team will come in and just wipe the floor with you before you even get a chance to take a turn. This could be huge. Kind of removing the need for consumables like... I've completely blanked on the name. Initial Fury, I think it was called. I'm gonna remember it as soon as I remember. Initial Frenzy, I believe the disc is called. But there's a consumable that's gonna let you kind of take the first turn. That's very useful. This kind of helps fix the same problem, albeit in a different way, right? Instead of skipping to the front of the line so you don't get killed by your opponent's Alpha Strike, this is just going to make you immune to damage and, importantly, immune to debuffs until the start of your first turn. And all allies are immune to damage and debuffs until the start of their first turn. If you've got a feat that says keep this character alive, and there are a lot of those out there, and a lot of those are for characters that are pretty recent marquees, right? For instance, keep Saw Gerrera alive. Well, if you don't have Saw Gerrera geared, if this data disk existed, you could put Saw Gerrera as a 5th on an otherwise really good team, and make him super slow. Just strip all his mods off, and he would be immune to damage and immune to debuffs until he takes his first turn. If I'm reading this correctly, if that's how it works. So, if, and it is a big, big if if this data disk exists, and again, it's in the data mine, but it is not in the post. But if this data disk exists, prioritize it. Get it. It sounds amazing. I can't imagine that it would not be amazing. But that is how I deal with Conquest. That is how I've kind of put together squads for myself to prepare for this going in. I'm hoping it'll go well. It doesn't really look like too terrible a Conquest. The only problem is Phoenix, right? There are a lot of feats that are tied to Phoenix, that are tied to Captain Rex. Let's go back to it, because I want to make a note. One cool thing, Sector 5 has a feat that says defeat 50 enemies with Phoenix. Now, this is different from that global feat that says, you know, win 50 battles with that very specific Phoenix lineup. Well, defeating 50 characters with Phoenix is actually not all that bad if you have Jedi Master Luke. Again, Jedi Master Luke is the cheat code of Conquest. If you look at this team I've got here, Jedi Master Luke with Grandmaster Yoda, Jedi Knight Luke, and Ezra and Kanan. Ezra and Kanan are both Phoenix. Again, just use JML's granted ability to just continue to call them to assist to get kills, especially if we end up having a cheesable node, right? Like something with a Night Sister zombie that revives a lot. You might be able to knock that out pretty easily. So I actually don't think that feat is going to be too bad. The global feat that is going to require Hera, Ezra, Chopper, Kanan, and Captain Rex, it's going to be very bad. It's going to be very hard. You can see I haven't touched my Captain Rex on this account. On my other account, I have touched him a little bit. I've thrown a little bit of gear onto him. I plan on going ahead and taking him to gear 11 on this account, because this account will be going for Leia. This account, I haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to finish out Jabba and then go for Leia. This account, funny enough, is Leviathan ready, and this one is not, so I've got a whole split thing here. But it's beside the point. The point here is, for that Sector 5 feat, it's not as bad as you think, provided you have JML. So, I've been rambling long enough. Time to wrap this up. If you have any questions about Conquest, if you want to talk team building strategy, or just have any wisdom to share, you know, hit me up in the comments section. Conquest starts Monday, July 10th. I'll have some gameplay, maybe even a stream as that's going. Keep in mind, we are also going to have a territory battle starting at that point. I know it feels like we just came off of a territory battle. Because that was shifted, we're going to be getting back on track, but there's going to be a kind of a very short turnaround between the previous territory battle and the next one, which is nice because, hurrah, Grand Inquisitor came today. So get your Grand Inquisitors, get Reva ready, get ready for territory battles on Monday, get ready for Conquest on Monday, get ready for the end of the 3v3 season later this week. And if you like this video, if you want to see this kind of content, you know how YouTube works, you know what to do. So may the Force be with you. Have a great night.